Next on Startup, we head to Waitsfield, Vermont to talk to Dori, the owner of Tonewood. Then we head over to Hamtramck, Michigan to talk to Chris, the owner and creator of Fowling. All of this and more is next on Startup.
There is nothing easy about starting a small business. A baker's tale, all natural and gluten-free cookies, tarts, pies, and cakes online. A Baker's Tale is proud to support Startup and all of the entrepreneurs out there trying to sweeten their own story of success.
The American small business was built on one thing: relationships. And every time a customer walks through the door, a new one begins. Pay Anywhere was built to help entrepreneurs do what they do best. So keep loving what you do. Just get paid for it. Pay Anywhere.
The Michigan Economic Development Corporation is proud to support Startup and all the dreamers, thinkers, and doers. Pure Michigan, ready for the next big thing.
You've written your own story of success, and it shows. Chrysler is proud to support Startup and all the people out there who define their own success.
My name is Gary Brado, and I'm a documentary filmmaker and an entrepreneur. The economy is in less than perfect shape, and when the jobs go away, there's nothing left to do but get up and get creative. And there are people all over America doing just that. It's estimated that up to 85% of new businesses fail. So I'm going coast to coast to hear the personal stories of the people who beat the odds and started a successful business from the ground up. This is Startup.
I'm on Glenview Road in Waitsfield, Vermont, and I'm going to go talk to Dori, the creator of Tonewood, a company that's helping to redefine Vermont's maple market. Let's go hear her story.
While the exact origins of maple syrup are unknown, it's thought that it can be traced back to the 1500s among American Indians. But it wasn't until the Civil War era that maple syrup made its way into the mainstream. Dori has always been interested in the details of the maple industry, so after years of research, she's carved out her own niche by creating new and unique maple products.
Hi, my name is Dori Ross, and I'm the owner of Tonewood Maple. Our mission is to preserve small-scale maple farming.
Explain to me, like I'm a 3-year-old, which isn't far off, exactly what Tonewood is and does.
Tonewood is a line of award-winning and modern branded maple products, and we really are showcasing the versatility of maple in all of its various forms. It also is a tree adoption program, and you can adopt one of our sugar makers' trees, and they're my neighbors, and with that you receive 3 gifts from the bounty of what the tree produces over the course of a year.
Oh, how cool. So it's actually from that tree that you've sponsored.
It's in fact from the sugar bush itself, because you can't isolate the sap from one tree, but it's from the bush.
Tell me about the first time the idea hit you for Tonewood, what the inception of it, the aha moment.
Living here in this beautiful part of Vermont and seeing my neighbors firsthand, who are sugar makers, they're 7th generation sugar making families, and seeing the magic that happens in the sugar woods and in the sugar houses, and I thought, wow, there must be a way to combine those things.
Well, what is this? I see tubes and these kind of black cap looking things all over in here. Explain the process a little bit.
Well, you know what? Maple sugaring started with a notch in a tree. Actually a limb broke off, and it was dripping.
Okay.
Then along came wooden spouts that the early settlers made, and they notched in and pounded that in and put it into a wooden bucket. Now, with maple tubing, that's how that sap runs, through that tubing.
Let's talk a little bit about your relationship with Tonewood and Dori.
She knows her sugar makers. She knows where her syrup comes from.
Right.
She's educated herself profoundly. She probably knows more than I do about it.
Well, it took me at least a year to 2 just to research. So I researched the entire maple industry, and from soup to nuts. And then I wrote, with all this research that I did, I wrote a 21-page document, which was a request for proposal. And I farmed it out to about 12 different creative agencies. And 11 of the 12 agencies said that it was a $75,000 to $100,000 job. And
That's what I kind of imagined.
Yeah, so clearly I came back to them and said that isn't my budget expectation. But I had one amazing agency in Boston that came back to me and said, we love your idea. And they basically did the 2 first phases pro bono and then charged me a nominal amount for the 3rd phase.
So 75 to 100 free.
Yeah.
It must have been a very difficult decision.
It was a difficult decision. But I'll tell you, I'm still working with that agency. They have been nothing but supportive and amazing.
How did you finance the company?
I did a Kickstarter, which raised some money. We hit our target, which was great.
What was your goal?
$15,000, and
And
we
you
hit that.
it? Did you exceed it? Or just
Yeah, we
hit
exceeded it actually. Hit almost 16,000, which was amazing. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And that's how I got things started. But to really have the engine running right now, that's when the big costs come in, because I'm buying syrup for 1 to 2 years out.
Wow.
And that I'm really tapping into a line of credit, which is our house, which is a little risky, and it keeps me up at night.
The line of credit, that's just for expansion and inventory for the most part?
It is. So it's really purchasing inventory, paying salaries. So I have 2 part-time employees that are my team. And then in the holiday season, I bring in a lot of neighbors and students and local school teachers, and we have about a dozen people in the garage, and we're packing boxes.
What is your primary distribution model? Are you online? Are you direct to retailers, wholesale? What do you do?
About half of our sales are through the website, and then the other half are through wholesale accounts. So we distribute right across the country to a number of big accounts.
Really? So you're putting out a lot of product from that
Little
from
garage.
this house.
Yes.
The color of maple syrup has a direct correlation to the flavor. The darker the syrup, the more flavor it has. The largest crop of maple sugar was produced in 1842 to help with the rationing of regular sugar during the Civil War.
So walk me through some of these marvelous looking products.
Okay, there's a natural crystallization process that happens when you heat up maple syrup and stir it. So you can make maple candy out of it. So these are maple candies right here.
Okay.
You can make a maple cube, and this is Tonewood's specific, very special maple cube, and we offer it in a dark robust, which is a really intense maple flavor, and we also offer it in a golden delicate, which is a more sort of subtle flavor.
Right.
And you just grate it, and it's a really amazing way to enjoy maple. So try those, because
All
that
right.
will melt in your mouth. So you can
Oh
add
my
that.
gosh, is that?
I put it on
That's
my
not what I
coffee.
expected
Isn't
at all.
amazing? I put it on my coffee every morning. You can put it on oatmeal. You can put it on
Okay, I need
I
to
mean,
get one of those too.
everything
For
possible.
me,
Is that
okay.
cool? And then we have maple syrup, of course, and we have little nips of maple syrup. We have a maple seasoning. This is a sweet and savory product you can use for barbecuing and really nice on chicken and salmon.
I see right here this, you got some attention from People magazine with your maple cube, Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay gave us a shout out last Christmas, which was really awesome.
How did he get his hands on it? What happened?
You know what? I worked with a PR agency and basically tried to get the Tonewood product out and sampled and sent it out to a couple of chefs. Bobby Flay was one of them. He loved it. And in fact, I tried to give him a thank you. I wanted to give him a tree adoption as a thank you. And he said, no, I love small businesses. I just want to help. I love your product. And then he said, but if you want, send me some maple syrup once in a while, which I do every quarter now, and I'll use it in my recipes and in my kitchen.
So he's using it actively now.
Yeah.
In 2014, the United States produced over 3 million gallons of maple, 42% of which were produced in Vermont.
Sorry, we don't
It's
have
close.
You'll be fine.
It's cool. It'll...
You'll be fine.
Creepy blue hand guy. All right.
All right,
is
so you
horrible.
put the cube,
Okay.
and what you want to do is have the paper come sort of almost to the end.
Okay.
Perfect. And then bring this side over.
Alrighty.
And this is our cube care label. Tells you how to take care of your cube, how
Really?
to store it.
You have to feed it, water it.
Yeah. Walk it.
Make sure make sure it
And
gets
then
plenty
we
of
try to put
sunlight.
that in the middle.
Well, what kind of person is Dori, and what does she like to work with?
Dori's great to work with. She's always thinking. Her mind is always going, always looking for something better, something different. You did really well. Nice job.
Bam!
Yeah, bam.
Okay. Social media, how has that impacted your business?
I'm self-taught, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest, and I have 2 blogs, and I'm not good at any of it, but I do it all.
You do it.
And I don't know if it works.
Okay, so what has been the greatest hardship that you've had to overcome from day one with the business?
You know, I think it's just the day-to-day kind of stress of running a business. Cash flow is just a constant battle. And I think it's, you know, staying awake at night that's definitely a hardship.
What is it that's actually keeping you up?
Knowing if the idea has legs. You know, it's worked for 3 years, but is it going to take, you know, is it going to take us down financially next year? It's just such a gamble.
Worry, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
a
think
definite
that's very
worry.
normal. And what do you think is the absolute best thing about what you do?
The best thing, bar none, is working with the sugar makers and really kind of feeling like I have a little bit of what they experience and the history and culture that they have, and it's magic. And you know, if I were to be born again, I'd want to be born as a 7th generation Vermont sugar maker.
Well, you're close. You're on the fringe.
I'm rubbing
right now.
shoulders.
What piece of advice would you have for another entrepreneur that wants to go out and start maybe a similar business or something completely different, but just wants to go on their own?
I'd say do your homework, do a lot of research. I think when you rush into things and you don't do your homework, you make mistakes and they're costly. So I don't know, I think don't be in a rush.
Thank you so much for taking the time with us today, letting us come in and, you know, screw your day up.
No, it's been fun.
But I think there's a lot for our viewers to learn from your story, so thank you.
Thank you.
There are a million ways to start a business. But how did Dori do it? Let's find out. She started with next to nothing in the bank, but raised $15,000 to start her business through a Kickstarter campaign. In the first year, the company earned $70,000, but operated at a loss. The one word Dori uses to describe what it takes to make it in business is guts.
When Dori was ready to stir up some business of her own, she tapped into local resources. And it can get a little sticky asking for help, but you never know. Someone just may pull some strings for you. Whoever said that money doesn't grow on trees, or was it in trees? Either way, it looks like Dori has found the right ingredient for a successful business. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for Tonewood. I'm on Christopher Street in Hamtramck, Michigan, and I'm gonna go talk to Chris, the creator and owner of the Fowling Warehouse. Bowling is a sport that Chris invented that combines football, bowling, and horseshoes. Let's go hear his story and maybe I can challenge him to a game.
Games predate technology by thousands of years. The Egyptians are thought to have created the first board game, Senet, which is still being found in ancient Egyptian tombs. Chris created his own hybrid sport by accident in 2001 while tailgating. And by 2003, he had a waiting list to play the game over 3 hours long. Realizing the demand, he turned this fun and unique sport into a business.
Hi, my name is Chris Hutt. I'm the owner of the Fowling Warehouse. My mission statement is to provide a place for everyone to come down and have a good time. Fowl on.
Here we are. What is Fowling?
There's a team on one side, there's a team on the other. Object of the game is to knock down your opponent's 10 pins before they knock down your 10 pins, throwing the one football back and forth. Once the game starts, our pins are alive. Whatever knocks them down counts, including balls from other lanes.
Or stumbling by.
Stumbling by, whatever. The sentence we hear the most, it's automatic from first timers, is this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. And that's normally the men.
Yes.
The men walk in and they just absolutely think they...
High school hero.
Oh, high school heroes, Uncle Rico. I can spot an Uncle Rico from a quarter mile.
I can throw a football over that mountain.
That's right.
What's your typical Uncle Rico that walks it through here?
Very sure of himself about how awesome he's going to be.
Sure.
And then they get out on the lane and they throw as hard as they can and they miss. you know, their girlfriend throws a lofty, wobbly grenade that lands right in the pins and knocks over 7. And then I've said this a million times, the ladies beat the guys all the time because the guys overdo it.
Why do you like it? What do you like about it?
Well, you don't have to be a major athlete, major football player.
That works for me.
Yeah, it's a fun drinking game, just knocking down the pins and, I don't know.
Social, good time.
Social, yeah, totally social. I tell people, I'm like, you're gonna get hooked. Yeah.
Games are one of the oldest forms of human social interaction. It is said that during the Middle Ages, chess was taught in order to teach men the strategies of war.
So how did the idea and the concept come up for Fowling?
Well, myself and my circle of friends, we attend the Indianapolis 500 every Memorial Day weekend. We, the Detroiters, have a project usually to build something to impress the neighbors. 15 years ago, we built a bowling alley. We want to do a bowl at the Indy 500. Having a real bowling ball rolling ankle height through your neighbor's camp isn't neighborly. The day before the race, Saturday, a couple guys were tossing the football around and a ball wasn't caught, bounced on the ground, went right over and knocked over some bowling pins. Bing, right,
the light bulb came up over the head.
Right.
Okay.
So we grabbed the other box of pins and set them up on the other side and started throwing the football back and forth and making up rules as we went along. As we were going along through the years, opening this was in my mind. You know, opening up a Fowling alley, Fowling Center. I found this place in August and
of 13.
Of 13,
okay.
Yes. And the owner wanted to sell the whole complex. This is 5 acres, 90,000 square feet. It's a factory. Well, I didn't need the whole place.
Yeah.
And he wasn't interested in leasing. He wanted to sell.
Yeah.
So a couple days later, my buddy Andy DiDorasi owns the Detroit Bus Company. He called me and asked how my search was going. And I said, well, I found the perfect building, but it's in this bigger complex, and he was looking to move his bus company out of the suburbs into the city. I gave him the contact, and he ended up getting the building, and now I'm leasing from Andy.
Perfect.
Perfect. Now the bus company's here, I'm here. People.
You have buses that you can go pick people.
Yeah,
that's
the people.
synergy.
The people that you hear in the background just arrived on one of Andy's buses.
Tell me about the period from when you got into the place to opening day.
September of 13 is when we first stepped into the place, and we opened December 4th of 14. Week after week, month after month, you work all day, blood, sweat, and tears. You go home, shower, go to bed, wake up, come back, and the room looks the same.
Makes it frustrating.
After day, it was Groundhog Day. It had never changed. And then the last 6 weeks, it was like bang. It turned into something.
Ballpark figure, what did it take to open the doors?
A little more than twice is what we thought.
Okay.
So it was up there, you know.
It was up there.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay, got it. How did you get that money?
Well, we had a short window of time. And I had a lot of people throughout the years say, hey, when you finally get to opening your place, I'd love to invest. So it came time to sign a 5-year lease on a commercial building, and my business plan wasn't done. I didn't have permission from my wife, and we had no money.
That's a big one.
So smartly, I just went ahead and signed the lease.
Of course.
It's a million pages. Called those people that had always said, hey, and I was able to get enough to cover the first 2 months, which gave us 60 days to finish, get our business plan done, and then get that out to some other people to get the bigger dollars in.
How'd you get all of your digital stuff going? Was that a huge expense?
Laura worked for a big marketing firm, so she's very good at that stuff. I know my strong points, I know my weak points, and where I'm weak, I have good people. That's a key.
Great. Talk about Chris. What kind of guy is he?
I put my own personal money into this with my husband. We love Chris. Our friends love Chris. He's spearheaded Fowling pretty much since day one and took ownership, and he is the heart and face of Fowling.
What are some of your roles and responsibilities here?
We're trying to build a marketing plan for the remainder of the year and ongoing. operationally get the employee processes in place, make sure we have proper staffing, running the group events, getting groups to come in and full, and basically just making sure that we have that great presence out in the media.
Would you consider yourself a good fuller?
Now I would. The first 7-8 years, I wouldn't say that at all, but I've definitely gotten better with time.
Well, I mean, 8 years, it takes a minute to get used to
for
it.
a while.
As of 2010, Hamtramck was the most internationally diverse city in Michigan, which started in 1914 with Polish immigrants flooding to the city to work for the Dodge brothers.
What's the best way for me to throw this?
There's the standard way to hold a football. A lot of first timers, we have a lot of people who come in here who have never held a football in their life. And they always grab it right in the middle. College pro quarterbacks, you hold it farther back. And then that way you
back of the ball.
Yeah.
Just like that.
And then, follow through, a nice straight throw.
All right, let's see what I can do here. Bam!
Look at that. You're a regular.
Explain to me again what a bonk is.
Bonk. A bonk is a way you can win a game on your very first throw. If all 10 pins are still standing on your opponent's board, and you throw the ball and hit the 5 pin, which is the center pin, and only the 5 pin completely off the board, leaving the other 9 standing in the triangle, that's a bonk. You've won the game. You're the coolest person in the room.
Okay, so let's pretend that you got a bonk.
All right, you sign the board. And
okay.
We got a bonk! And then the whole room applause.
Oh, that is incredible. Wow.
Did you hear it?
No, I can't hear anything, actually. Explain the first couple months of business.
When we opened, we were busy right away.
Day one.
Day one, yeah. In 4 months, 15,000 waivers.
15,000 different people have come in in 4 months.
Yep. On a really busy Saturday night when there's 600 people in here and it's a roar. It's a roar. It's the noise that comes from the lanes is cheering, high-fiving, shrieking, oh! It's amazing, there's times where I'll stand back and just look at the room and everyone's smiling, high-fiving, having a good time.
Is it surreal?
Yeah, it's great.
What does the future hold for Fowling? Are you gonna expand into different markets? Are you gonna franchise? Because I could see this just taking off across the country.
That is the plan. We ourselves will open up more locations, and yes, we're definitely looking to franchise. We see college towns and major cities.
What advice do you give to all those dreamers that are out there watching this segment?
Whatever you think your budget is or gonna be, double it. Just double it. Just trust me, double it. If you think it's this much money, then you'll be fine. You're wrong. Double it and probably add another little bit.
Well, congratulations, Chris. I mean, this is absolutely incredible business. I can't wait to come here and hang out. Thank you so much for talking. Take care.
Thanks for being here.
There are a million ways to start a business, but how did Chris do it? Let's find out. He started with around $1,200 in the bank and relied on personal investors to start his business. Fowling has been open since the end of 2014, and the business is currently profitable. He has a high school level education, and the one word Chris would use to describe what it takes to make it in business is dedication.
Fowling became a hit right from the kickoff, and Chris kept his head in the game and didn't let the business spiral out of control. Looks like Chris is about to score big with this unique concept. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for Fowling.
People are always asking me, what about the rules of business? And I have a very simple philosophy. I don't break rules. I make sure that I'm compliant. I make sure that where there are, municipal, state, or federal laws, all of my companies abide by them. I don't take risks. So I'm not willing to break any rules at all. I'm willing to be a vicious competitor, salt the earth of my competitors, burn down their market share, steal their customers. I love doing all that, but I don't break any rules.
Next time on Startup, we head to Providence, Rhode Island to talk to Aaron, one of the creators of Sproutel. Then we head over to New Haven, Connecticut to talk to Stacy, the owner of Air Temple. Be sure to join us next time on Startup.
And then what is it you do for a living?
I play professional football for the Detroit Lions.
Okay. This is the big question. Super Bowl is here?
Yeah.
Come on, please.
Yeah.
Please, I'm begging. It's been
You've written your own story of success, and it shows. Chrysler is proud to support startup and all the people out there who define their own success.
The Michigan Economic Development Corporation is proud to support startup and all the dreamers, thinkers, and doers. Pure Michigan, ready for the next big thing.
The American small business was built on one thing: relationships. And every time a customer walks through the door, a new one begins. Pay Anywhere was built to help entrepreneurs do what they do best. So keep loving what you do. Just get paid for it. Pay Anywhere.
There is nothing easy about starting a small business. A Baker's Tale, all natural and gluten-free cookies, tarts, pies, and cakes online. A Baker's Tale is proud to support startup and all of the entrepreneurs out there trying to sweeten their own story of success.